10 years ago when I started my business, this was the first conference that I came to as an independent wedding planner. And it was such an extraordinary moment for me to be in this massive convention center surrounded by people who loved this industry, who just truly loved everything about weddings, events, moments, and memories. And the fact that I get to come back now every year and stand on the stage and talk to you is truly a gift to me, and it's incredibly humbling. So I thank you very much for that opportunity. I do find it interesting, though, that I am the visionary planner who's here to talk to you about trends because I wear black. Sometimes white, sometimes gray. I am the least trendy individual that I know. And so the fact that I'm a visionary planner is interesting because I always kind of went along with the idea of don't follow trends, start them. And by virtue of the fact that you are here in this room, that tells me that you are somebody who is committed to your education, you're committed to the industry, and that you're not waiting to see what the next viral post on Pinterest or Instagram is, that you actually want to come and that you want to learn, that you have a perspective and a voice, and that you want to use it. Now, all of that is wonderful. We are all responsible for going back into our markets, for taking the things that we see here that we're inspired by, and then interpreting them in a way that makes sense for us, for our community, and most importantly, for our clients. So as we come to the last 3 months of this decade, which is horrifying and frightening to me, that the decade is going to be over, we need to look into the future and think about the things that our couples are going to be looking at. And the first thing that is coming up is going to be the Roaring Twenties. We are going to see all things Art Deco coming back once again. So when you look at the 20s, 2020 alone as it stands is going to be enormous. 10-10-20 is going to be a very big date for a lot of people. We have people doing 1-19-20. They are loving the numbers and the numerals, and when you think about the 20s, you really want to go back into that Gatsby style of planning. Everything is going to feel a little bit more geometric. You're going to see a lot of black and white accented with golds. There's going to be a lot of crystal coming in because it was just such a shimmery, kind of shiny era. And we're going to see styling in terms of brides and grooms. The grooms are going to be incredibly dapper, very well tailored, full tuxedos, and the brides are really looking at fabrics that are a lot softer but still have a shimmer. We're going back to some faux fur stoles, some interesting shoes. It's not going to look costumey, but it is going to give a nod to the past. We're also going to see that in terms of the cake. The cakes for the Roaring Twenties trend are going to be a lot less floral inspired, and they're going to look more like the buildings and the skyscrapers that were coming up in New York at that time. The next thing that we are seeing coming up that is huge and has been for a while is live entertainment. Last year, I had one wedding with a DJ. Everyone else went with bands because there's this element of wanting to bring people together, not just your friends and family, but also the community. They want people and acts that are going to be interactive with their guests, and so we're seeing a lot of full-blown orchestra. We're going to see a lot of horns. We're going to see a lot of male and female duets coming in, and then when we get off the stage, people really want acts that are going to be interactive with their guests. So the mirrored men are huge. Neon, which we were seeing on the walls for a really long time, is now coming out of decor and going on to people. So you can expect to see a lot of items along the lines of this. So when you're back in your market and you're looking at ways that you can incorporate live entertainment, go beyond the band. Consider things along the lines of service as entertainment. Maybe you have one of these guys that are handing out shots or cocktails or beverages. Maybe you have a live artist, which we're going to have here tomorrow at Wedding MBA doing a live painting. Live art is huge right now. So look for ways that you can bring people in that are going to interact with the guests on a one-to-one level. Behind the scenes videography is something that we as wedding pros are going to need to do a lot more of. People love the pretty. I love the pretty. It's why I do what I do. But today's client is getting so educated, they understand what the cost of things is. This chair is $6. That tablecloth is $35. What they don't understand is the process. They don't understand how many people it takes to transform a ballroom into a forest. They don't know what you as a planner, a designer, a photographer, or a video team actually have to go through in order to go from, I have this idea, in a someday sort of way, to the finished product that your clients actually get to anticipate. And so no matter what section of the industry you're in, I highly recommend that you find a video partner that can help document your process. Here's what's interesting about that video. I worked on that wedding for 22 months. And the week of the wedding, and if you're in the room and you're a planner, you know what I'm talking about. You're literally sitting there and you're like, did I order chairs? Yeah, do I have chairs? Okay, I got a cake, yes? Okay, how many people are coming? Who's, like, you're going over everything again and again and again in your mind. You're reading things, you're checking things, you're on the phone with 400 people like you're a wizard, and you're on another level. And so my husband says to me, he goes, I don't think people really understand what it takes to do what you do. It would be really cool if you ended up documenting the process. And it occurred to me, we as a community, we as like the wedding family, we get it. If you tell me what you're installing and you're doing a ceiling piece, I understand what it means. But if you try to explain that to a client, they don't get it. When you're trying to give yourself a differentiating standpoint and explaining to somebody, I charge this much, and this is what you're paying for. In a world of sameness on the internet, something like this will set you apart, because your clients will be able to watch you on your hands and knees cleaning the floor. They will watch you track down a random baby. They will watch you fix the bride's hair. There's an emotional connection and a connotation. Plus they get to see all of the incredible work that all of the teams that you bring together do. I literally don't do anything on the day of the wedding. I don't set tables. I don't cook. I mean, at home I do, but I don't do that. And so for a client who's trying to determine, do I pick her or her? Do I pick him or them? For them to be actually able to see you do what you do conveys the value of your work better than anything else. And so we as a community, you see it already on stories, we're gonna start seeing a lot more production that has a much higher value because it means that much more to our clients. We're also going to see a lot of color saturation. So this is something that people are really wanting now. White on white weddings are beautiful. I love them. It's the absence of color. But when you really want to make a statement, in order to do color well, my belief is that you have to do it everywhere. You have to drench it from the top to the bottom and the sides, because this is the way that you get a full impact. Adding pops of green is great, but a pop of green or a garland is never going to convey the bride's love of the outdoors like building her a forest is going to be. Now, I understand that not every client has this budget. I certainly get that. Not all my clients have this budget. We all wish they did. And we all hope that that recession never comes and that they just spend money forever. But if they don't, there are other ways of doing this without spending 7 figures, without spending $500,000. You can find a color thread in the carpet. If we were in this room and it's red, you can accent that red with red drapes. You can do all red flowers. You can take a different tone of red and do the linens. So you're not required to have a client that can spend at this level. You are required to take what the client says and really kind of extrapolate it, because anything done en masse like this is going to work. I mean, I wanted to do a green wedding for 5-6 years, and then it was coming in and I was literally like, I hate it. I'm like, this was such a mistake. I am getting fired. And then it's coming in, I'm like, I hate this less. Like, wow, I hate it a lot. I like it. By the time you add it all together, it looks so intentional because it is, and that's just gonna play for a really beautifully designed space for your clients. Which means that you can do really over-the-top installations. Economically, the consumer is actually doing better than business. We're doing better than inflation. People have more money to spend today than they have in a really long time. And when they're getting married, they're very willing to spend it on their weddings. So again, you don't need to be at a six-figure price point. What you need to do is find one thing, one element, and say, this is going to be our statement piece. Because when you have one really large piece, especially something that hits them in the very, very beginning, when they first walk in, when they first enter the ceremony, mentally and emotionally, that sets the stage for the idea that this is a really over-the-top wedding. This couple has done something truly unique. They've built something. They cared about creating the environment. And so if you're able to build one massive thing, you can go a little bit lighter around everything else, because that one focal point is going to matter so much to the overall experience and the feel for your clients. And just because we're spending a lot of money doesn't mean we're wasteful. Sustainability is huge right now. If you were in here for the last session, you heard her talking about repurposing. You repurpose your images for social because you use them again and again. You repurpose your florals from the ceremony to the reception, but it's not just florals anymore. Couples are very concerned about the environment and the footprint that they are leaving behind. And so you'll see a lot of people saying, can my florals be donated after the wedding? Can guests take them? Can they be built out so that people can actually take them with them and we extend kind of the life and the experience? Menu planning. You're gonna start hearing people talk about farm to table, which has been around forever, but it's not just that. It's the difference between something that is grown and sourced locally and something that is imported. It's the difference between a farm fish and a wild fish. It's making sure that the buffets aren't so overdone and so lush that at the end of the night, you end up throwing out 60% of the food. Your clients are going to start to be very conscious of that, because not only will they feel like you've wasted food, but you've wasted their money, because 80% of what they bought was not consumed. And so 80% of their money was poorly spent. So menu planning is going to become incredibly important, and so is auxiliary waste. We hear this all the time with paper specifically, in terms of multiple pieces of paper. Anything that is going to be built and thrown out. I do a lot of custom installations, and one of the things that my clients are constantly asking me is, what happens to the pieces afterwards? Now, sometimes I have to tell them, like, hey, we build this on site, we take it apart and we throw it away. A lot of my clients will say, I don't want that. I don't want to waste all of that product. How can we find a way to use it again? So finding a way to be sustainable, talking about it on your social media, letting people know that you have a level of social conscious, even if you don't in real life. But as a business, like letting people know that you are aware of the fact that there are things happening in the world and that you're paying attention will go very far. Wedding cake and dessert displays. I like food, and I love wedding cake. I think that the wedding cake is the jewelry of a reception. It's the thing, you walk into a room and you go, oh, it's so beautiful. Look at the flowers. Look at the tables. Where's the cake? Because people want to see it. And so doing something that on scale is really, really large or really, really small, where it's really tiny, setting it up so that people have one main cake and then a bunch of tiny little ones. Doing something that is visually interesting. This actually became an Instagram moment of the wedding. I didn't think it was going to be. I thought the trees were going to be. But we had this green wall with 300 floating mini wedding cakes, so everyone got to come up and pick their own cake. We had trouble serving it because people were standing in front of it taking pictures for most of the night. But it was so much fun. And going back to waste, we didn't waste a massive cake that we built and then threw out. We didn't waste a cake that people were like, I don't like red velvet. Because we had multiple different flavors, people took what they want, we had very little waste, and so it was a very easy sell because I hit both things. I hit the desire to do a really beautiful display, and I hit the sustainability factor. And then we did tiny little takeaways. Custom attire. Custom attire is going to be very big going into 2020. And this just means taking something off the rack. And this is a Berta that we worked with Lavella and Wedding Fashion Expert on. And we actually customized the length of everything. The hemline, where it hit her, where the back came down. Then there's also an Inez on the back there. She wore 2 dresses. Both dresses were bought based on the designer's line, and then we went in and we worked with a seamstress and a tailor to really custom fit them and cut them to her body. When you get to this point and you're going down the aisle, the ability to make a tweak, and you can do that whether you are at a salon, an atelier, or at David's Bridal. You can add a strap, remove a strap. Brides just really want to feel like they're walking down the aisle and having a moment in something that nobody else has had. And the truth is, so do grooms. So you're gonna see a lot of grooms wanting to customize things like interior liner, suit colors, picking a really fun fabric for like the inside of your jacket. And I just moved my mic, so AV is like, why? That's okay. But doing something where you have a really kind of conservative piece on the outside, but something that's very fun on the inside that really speaks to who you are. These are little things that you can do. And even as the wedding pro, if you want to incorporate this, if you want to give a nod to it, and your clients maybe aren't ready for it or they're not asking for it, you can go to a local tailor, you can pick out a fabric that you feel really aligns with your brand or that matches your client's design, and you can have a really quick, very inexpensive pocket square made, and you can fold it up and you can give it as a gift and say, here, this is something that you can walk down the aisle with. It's just a little something, it's a little pop to kind of customize you and make sure you stand out from everybody else. Your clients will love you because everybody loves presents. All right, technology. Tomorrow, make sure that you guys go and you get signed up and you see all of the things that are out there because tech is huge right now. So this is not a video, this is a photo that it turns out I am not allowed to play because it has music on it. But drones, video mapping, art installations, lasers, robot, live streaming, anything. So what we did is we built a Terrell photo booth and we set it to Drake's Hotline Bling. And people were able to go into the booth and live stream dancing with the big cutout of Drake, which was super fun. Because the bride was a huge Drake fan and she loved Terrell. And so being in a place where like you could wear the puffer jacket and you could put on the boots and you could dance with fake Drake and then you could take it and you could post it on your Instagram and it's got the couple's monogram. Tech is going to move so far beyond the photo booth. 5G is coming really quickly. How many people have been paying attention to the 5G stuff? Like more so just because your phone service sucks and you actually like, yeah. 5G is going to create the technology to where when you go online and you go into a virtual space, your brain is no longer going to be able to tell the difference between what's a real experience and what's a virtual one. And these things are going to start pouring into weddings very, very quickly. The technology is going to be there to film a room in a 365-degree manner and then download that so that people from another country, people who are sick, people who can't be there, can actually put on a headset and experience your wedding as if it was there. Imagine giving a couple the opportunity to walk through their wedding reception in 10 years with their children. That technology exists today. As an industry, we're not using it because it's expensive and because it glitches and because it's slow. But the minute that 5G becomes universally available, you're going to see a tremendous amount of tech coming out that everyone is going to want to jump on. And so go out into your community and be the first. Oh! No sound, I'm safe. So that's Cherish and Lindsay from Le Rev. They're speaking here. That's Dennis Kwan. He's a fantastic photographer. And they all make me feel like home, which is why your clients hire you, because they want you to create an environment that feels like home to them. That is a lot of at-home weddings. People are going to want to get married where they live because their home is where they feel the absolute most comfortable. But if you have a couple that does not want to get married at home, you can still add residential elements to their space. For this particular wedding, we added couches with fur throws and books because the bride is a huge reader and she loves to like cuddle up, get a blanket. We opened up the books on some of them to show wedding things that she was inspired from. We also had fashion books out there. You can do these things very easily. Even more so, you can encourage your clients to bring items in from their home, because when they walk into their space and they see the things that they love and that they live with every day, it just takes the edge off. It puts them at ease in a way that nothing else is going to, and you're going to find that all of a sudden you don't have that kind of angst and those anxious moments with your couple. You're going to have a much easier time managing them on the day of the wedding. So for the top 10 trends of 2020, we've got the Roaring Twenties Take Two, live entertainment, behind the scenes videography, we have color saturation, over-the-top installations, sustainability, wedding cakes and dessert displays, custom attire, technology, and the ability to feel like home. But for me, in a world full of trends, I want to remain a classic. My name is Andrea Eppolito. I'm available to you everywhere at Andrea Eppolito. And again, thank you so much for coming and spending the day with me. We have a book that came out today that is available. We have courses, and if you want this entire deck and all of the notes, simply text your email to this phone number, 702-899-8222. You will get this entire educational deck. You'll get the presentation that I'm doing tomorrow. And I'm probably going to have another couple of freebies for you. So if you have any questions, I am here for you. But otherwise, thank you so much.